Hi everyone, I'm Rainey Bastarach with the American School of Hypnosis, and tonight we're going to be doing step 2 or lesson 2 on our successful marketing mindset. This one is going to be on how to create and fine-tune your goals. Last week what we did is we worked on choosing goals and how to get goals, and we did a little goal worksheet. For those of you that haven't seen it, you might want to go back to last week's lesson afterwards. And it was an interesting goal worksheet where we had people write down everything they wanted. Then we had them write down everything they didn't want in life and write the opposite. You think the opposite would be exactly what they had at the beginning for what they wanted, but they weren't the same at all. So it was kind of a fun thing. So if you have those lists from last week, and if you don't, maybe make a list of a couple things you'd like. We're going to work on that today, on how to choose goals, how to fine-tune them, how to order them, how to put them together so they work the best for you. Okay, so before we get started, I want to tell you a little story I heard during the week. Okay, there was this farmer, and this farmer had a mule. One day he was out the farm looking for his mule. Couldn't find him anywhere. Had been looking for him for a while. And all of a sudden he heard this loud shrieking, like a neighing or whatever they do, neighing or weighing, whatever kind of noise mules do. And it was coming from the well. And he had an abandoned well, one of those deep hole dug wells. So he went up to the well and he looked down, way down on the bottom was the mule. He was stuck. Again, the well wasn't much wider than the mule, so he could just barely stand. So he was like, what can I do? The mule's in trouble. He's so down deep. So he says, well, I guess there's really not much I can do. So he got together a bunch of the other local farmers and asked them to help him to fill in the well with dirt. They were just going to put the mule out of his misery by filling him up and being in his grave, I guess. So here's what happened. They started to put shovel over shovel into the well, and as a shovel of dirt fell into the well, it would hit the mule on the back, and the mule would shake it off his back, and he'd step up. Then they'd throw another shovel full, the mule would shake it off, and he'd step up. And then the owner said, hey, I've got an idea. So he asked everybody, just, take turns, let's throw dirt in and let them shake it off. So of course they kept on shaking it off and stepping up and stepping up and stepping up. First thing you know, the mule was able to walk out of the well. Kind of an interesting story. I started thinking about that, especially where it comes to goals. A lot of people don't have goals. And what happens when you don't have goals? You're just kind of running around or sailing like with a sailboat without a rudder. You don't know where you're going. It can get really frustrating to where you want to give up, but as soon as you find that you have a goal, once you have a map, and that's exactly what it is, a road map or I guess you could say a guiding light teaching you what to do and which way to get out. Now you have a way to get out, to get ahead, and to get whatever it is you want. Gentlemen, one of my mentors years ago, a man named W. Clement Stone once said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that is so true. Now, I want to tell you another story about Raluca and I know Raluca's listening, so Raluca, don't listen for a second. Years ago, we lived in Philadelphia. Just to show you what happens without a plan. So one day we got up and said, what are we going to do today? We wanted to go out and have fun. We were thinking about going to I think it's the Mall of Prussia. There's a huge mall, probably about a 2-hour drive away. It's like the second or third largest mall in the country. We thought of going there and said, oh, it's such a long ride. Let's do something else around here that would be fun. So we jumped in the car, and we lived in Northeast Philly, so we started to head south. Got on 95, started to head south. And looking at the city, then it started to thin out, and there wasn't much but boonies, so I said, let's head west. So here we are. Of course, we had headed south for about an hour, and then we headed west probably for about 2 hours or so. Just kept on going, actually not that long, but we headed west for quite a while, saw a bunch of nice buildings, and then it started to thin out again. So I said, let's head north. So we headed north again. The traffic was getting bad. Now we're getting kind of frustrated because we're just roaming around. We haven't done anything. We didn't even stop to eat. Then we headed back home. Now here we had been out all day long. Got home, we probably left 10 in the morning. Got home probably about 5 or 6 at night. We'd roamed around the whole city, wasted a lot of gas, didn't really get anything done. It was kind of like a sailboat without a sail. And we had thought, we've been out all day long. If we had driven to the mall, made a plan, we could have been there in 2 hours, had a lot of fun, come back, and been refreshed. So it just shows you, even in our personal lives, how many times you just go out and go for a drive. Or just go out and try to do something. Someone has a goal and says, I want to do this, and they just go and do it, but they didn't have a plan. A goal without a plan is no more than just a dream or a whim. So you need to have a plan. So that's what we're going to talk about. We spoke about what kind of goals you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these goals, these plans you had, and show you what to do with them. Okay, so now you have your map. So think of what you chose last week or whatever it is you want. You have your map to follow, your plan, or your focus, whatever you want to call it. Okay? Now, first of all, whatever it is you chose, think about how long it's going to take you. Is this a goal that's going to take you a year, a month, 5 years? First of all, you want to think, is this trip worth the goal? Okay, because what is life? Life is the now. We're having fun now. Okay, we should enjoy our life now. But if you're going through, let's say, a goal that you have is going to take you 6 years, let's say you want to go to college to become something. But you're not really nuts about it, but you want it for the money. So you spend tons of money going to college for 6 years and you hate every single minute of it. You're going through this drudgery. Are you really enjoying your life? Probably not. Or especially if you have a job in mind and you're working 6 years really hard to get for this job in mind. Finally you get to the point where you want that job and you have your degree and everything, and the business went out of business. What did you do the whole 6 years? It was kind of a waste of time. So is it worth the trip? Are you going to have fun with what you're doing? Do you enjoy the studies? Do you even enjoy the field that you want to get into? If you want to go on vacation, is it someplace you really want to go to? Are you going to enjoy everything getting up to that vacation, all the preparation? If you want to start a new business, if you want to, whatever it is, think about that. Is it worth the trip? That's really important to think about. Now, again, going to having a goal. A lot of people don't see why they should have a goal. Let me ask you this. Whether you're successful or not successful, especially for those of you that aren't successful right now, did you plan on being unsuccessful this late in your life? Did you plan on not having the job you wanted? Did you plan on coming up to retirement with not enough money to retire? Of course you didn't. And that's exactly why it happened. The lack of a plan. You see where I'm going with this? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. A lot of us just go, just like that little hamster on the wheel we spoke about last week, too busy living our lives to plan our lives, and we end up with nothing. Now, don't feel alone. Do you realize that less than 10% of society have goals? And when I say have goals, I'm talking about simple goals, almost just like a dream. Okay? Less than 10% of society has goals. That's why 90% of society are doing that little rat wheel, okay, not getting anywhere. Less than half of that 10%, so we'll be liberal and say 5%, have clear, defined goals, which is what we're going to work on tonight. Less than half of them actually get off their butt and act out on their goal, act on it. A lot of them say, there's a nice goal, they shelf it, and guess what? Nothing happens. And less than half of them, so we'll say 1 to 2%, actually follow up on their goal to fruition, follow through all the way until they've succeeded. So now you see the key. 10% have goals, but only about 2% actually follow through, do their goals right to the end. And you've probably heard this before. That's exactly why about 2% of the public controls over 90% of the income in this country. Okay, it's not a secret. It's not any kind of monopoly or anything going on. Okay, it's just that they understand the secret of having a goal and following through with the goal. So we spoke about having a goal. Why you need to have a goal. So you know that by now. You've chosen a goal. Let's go ahead and work on it. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take your goal, whatever it is, and we're going to put it through a 7-step formula. Now, the purpose of this formula is to help your goal to be able to be I guess you could say ordered, or be able to be attracted using the law of attraction, using your subconscious mind, which is the law of attraction, which we've spoken of earlier. Now, the reason it's going to go through the 7-step process is to actually define your goal and make it something that you can focus on. In order for the mind to attract it, it needs to be able to imagine it. It needs to be able to measure it. So we're going to talk about how to do all this, okay? So, step 1 of the 7-step formula is to identify what you want and write it down. So if you haven't done it yet, if you haven't written it down, if you know what you want, get a piece of paper right now. We'll wait. Okay, that's enough. And write it down. Now, it's important that you don't type it, you write it. For those of you that have taken my course and heard me speak before, writing is very hypnotic. When you write something down, it's a lot stronger suggestion and it sticks with you. When you just type it, not as much, because you have to formulate it. You're thinking about it when you're actually using your pen. So writing is very hypnotic. Write down what you want. Number 2, why do you want it? Have you ever thought of that? Why do you want this goal? How does it help you? How does it reward you? Is it enough for you? If it's money, let's say your goal is to make $70,000. Is that enough for all the work you're going to do? Because you could probably make $70,000 pretty easy on your own with your regular job. So a goal should be something that's a little bit of a stretch, enough that it makes you nervous, but also enough that it excites you if you attain it, okay? If you make a goal that you say, yeah, I think I can do that, that's not really a goal. That's just what you have been doing. So come on, let's get a little stretch going here. So 70,000, yeah, if you can make that, how about 150? How about $250,000, okay? If you're already making $250,000, how about $500,000? Make something that's possible, that's a stretch, that excites you. So is it worth your time? Is it worth your talent? We spoke about, will it make you happy? How does it help others? Think of that. If it's a business that you want to get, or some kind of career opportunity, how it's going to help you now, but how will it help others? I tell you right now, again, with the law of attraction, the more you can help others, the more it will help yourself, especially in business. The more you can be of service to others, it always comes back to you. People who are creative will always do better than people that are competitive. And to me, the key in business is if you can give more in product value than you receive in cash value, you will always be successful. So what does it do for you? What does it do for others? Okay, now down to the nitty-gritty here. Identify the obstacles in your way. What's in your way? What do you have to get over? If it's building a house, are there licenses you need? Do you need to have a licensed plumber? Do you need to get licenses or things from the state or from the city? So what stands in your way? Is there zoning? Is there voting? Are there people picketing in the front yard? Okay. If it's trying to get a job somewhere, what stands your way? Do you know how to do it? Do you know what you're going to need to know? Is there some equipment, a car, who knows, timing, relationship? So what stands in your way, identify it so you can start to work on that. Okay, you don't want to run into an important goal. It's going to take a while, especially with your eyes closed, okay? And you don't especially want to find all these obstacles at the end once you've already spent a year or two working towards it. Number 4. List the people, groups, materials, or things required to attain your goal. Again, that goes. Some of it goes along with some of the things I said earlier. So, are there any kind of people you're going to need to help you? Are you going to need a crew? Are you going to need employees? Are you going to need materials? If it's building a house again, you're going to need wood and cement and all kinds of good stuff. Okay, unless you're up in Alaska, then you're going to need a lot of snow and ice. Probably be a lot easier to do it that way, right? So what do you need? What materials are you going to need? What kind of people, groups are you going to need to get there? Number 5, what knowledge do you need? Okay, that's kind of important too. If you want to be a doctor, well, you're going to have to get a medical degree. If you want to be a mechanic, probably a trade school is all you need. Now, if you want to be big in business, what's the business you want to get into? Don't think that you have to know everything yourself. Okay? The idea of information is not everything that you've learned. The idea of having this information is knowing where to get it. I think you've all heard of Henry Ford. Henry Ford had, I believe, a fourth grade education. Matter of fact, he was actually brought to court, or he took someone to court because they called him ignorant. It was actually a news reporter, and one of these articles he was doing, he called Henry Ford ignorant, and Henry Ford brought him to court to prove that he wasn't. So they were asking him all kinds of questions on the stand, and they were asking him things like about the economy. One of the questions I think was how many British went home after the I'm doing really good. The Revolutionary War, okay? And his answer was something like, I don't know how many went home, but it was considerable less than what came here, okay? Anyways, they were asking him so many different silly questions that he felt had nothing to do with his business. Finally, he stopped them, and he said, look, maybe I don't know the answers to all your questions about, history and geography and all that, but what I do know is, if there's anything I don't know about to run my business, I have a telephone on my desk with a bunch of little buttons, and each one of them goes to a professional that has the knowledge needed for that. And of course, the way it turned out, he actually won the case because that is basically what knowledge is all about. He is a knowledgeable person because he knows how to get the knowledge. Okay, so what do you need? Do you need a trade school? Do you need to brush up something? Do you need to take some courses online? What do you need to get what you want? Okay? Create a plan of action. What steps do you need to take to get where you want to go? Okay, you might not need to know every single step, but try to figure out a plan of action of what it's going to take to get there. Okay, and again, a lot of these things are going to come up each day. You're going to probably come up with more pinpointed, steps, but get the major steps you're going to need to get there so you have an idea where you're going. Number 7 is deadlines and reporting. Okay, a goal is basically kind of like having a dream with a deadline. Okay, if you don't have a deadline, it's pretty much just a dream. It's just a whim. It's going to go on and on and on. So if you have a goal, what kind of deadline? Are you going to do it in a year? Are you going to do it in 5 years? You could even set sub-deadlines. It's going to be done in 5 years, but by this January coming, I'm going to have this done. By March, I'm going to have this done of next year. So you know what you're doing from time to time. And have someone, even if they're not working with you, have somebody that you can have check in with. That they, basically someone that can look at your dates to help you. To be able to, to report to. So it's always something, it's almost like having something like a boss looking over your shoulder saying, did you do this? Spouses work good with that. So someone to report to for the deadlines. Because if there's no, what can I say? If there's no reckoning, you probably will never do it. Even with hypnosis, I find that. We tell people that you should see someone a minimum of 4 sessions once a week, and what we do is we give them a follow-up CD each day in between. Now, why don't we just see them once and give them the follow-up CD for the entire time? Most people, if you ask them to listen to something for 10 minutes every day, they'll probably do it for about a week and stop doing it. No one's going to tell them not to. There's no reckoning. So since they don't have to go back and see the hypnotherapist, they're going to go, who cares? But if they go back and see the hypnotherapist and they didn't do it every day, now there's a reckoning. They could say, hey, you need to do that if you want to quit smoking or if you want to get better. You need to do it. It's just like taking penicillin. If you have a 12-day regimen and you only take it to 4 days because you feel good, guess what? The virus is going to come back. You need to follow. There needs to be a reckoning. That's usually why the doctor checks with you after the 12 days. So deadlines and reporting is very important. So now you have the basic formula. Okay, so you take all this information and you put it all together and we create what we call a statement of intent. What's a statement of intent? It's basically 1, maybe 2 sentences. The shorter the better, but you get as many details as you can. But a few sentences, so 1 or 2 sentences saying exactly what you want. Almost like a short letter even. It could be a little bit longer, but it's something that you want to be able to imagine. So if it's too long, okay, you'll probably be able to keep it in your mind. But a statement of intent. I want to give you an example of one. I have one here in a book. This is actually a story I wrote up. a while back, just to give you an idea, and this will probably be a really strong idea of how to make a statement of intent. I spoke a little bit about this last week, but I want to go ahead and read it to you. Let's see. Statement of intent. Here it is. Now, this statement of intent was basically a boy who wanted a bicycle. So what he did was, his statement of intent for a little boy is to actually write a letter. So he wrote a letter to Santa. So matter of fact, in my book, if you guys ever get the course, Wake Up and See Who You Are, little shameless plug, okay, in the book, it shows about this letter to Santa as a way of making a statement of intent, to show you how detailed it should be. It goes like this. He goes, "Dear Santa, I would really like for Christmas, what I really like for Christmas is a new Huffy rocket bike. It's the one with the blue handlebars and red frame. It has 12-inch wheels with bright yellow rims and 1 speed. It also comes with black 4-inch training wheels, which I will use until I get used to it. It's really shiny and takes less than an hour to assemble. By the way, it says Rocket and Huffy in big white letters on the frame too. I saw it at Walmart if you have a hard time finding one." Okay. Now, he also writes one more paragraph here. I have been practicing on my friend's bike, and I'm getting really good at it. I would like to use it to go to school and run errands with my brother too. I even cleaned out a space in the garage for it so it'll be safe when I'm not using it. Thank you and have a safe flight. Love, Tommy." Now think about that, okay? That letter to Santa. He knows exactly what he wants. His statement of intent was very detailed. He didn't say, "I want a bicycle," because he probably wouldn't have got the one he wants. He told him exactly what he wants. He told him, Santa, where he can get it. He told Santa that he was prepared for it. Are you prepared for what you want? Okay, you want to have a new house and you don't have a place to put it? You know, do you have land too? Have you thought of that? You want to have a new car, but you can't, you don't have a garage or a place to park it because you live in the middle of a big city, okay? So have you prepared for it? He not only prepared, he prepared for it by having a place in his dad's garage, and he even told Santa what he's going to do with it, okay? Now, by going that far, what I'm going to do with it and take it to school, that's helping him to imagine it even stronger. So now you can even picture Tommy riding his bike to school with the color and everything, can't you? And that's what it's going to take to attract that bike. You create the picture in your subconscious mind, then it's ordered. Okay, we call it the law of cause and effect. You cannot have an effect without a cause. What is the cause? Cause is the thought. Effect is the materialization of thought. So without the thought, you've heard thoughts become things. Without the thought, you cannot have the thing. Not only with things you want, and with money or goals in business, but even with health. How many people you know are sick, but they don't even think about being healthy? Instead of thinking of that, they say, "Oh, they're so sick," and they're making themselves sicker because thoughts become things. In order to be healthy, you need to create the thought of being healthy. You need to see yourself as perfectly healthy, or you will not be perfectly healthy. So thoughts become things. So that's basically all. We'll talk about health another time, but just to give you an idea how this works with anything, okay? So create your statement of intent. You probably haven't had time to do it while I was speaking here because it's hard to write and listen at the same time. So what you want to do is you want to create your statement of intent, exactly what you want, going according to those 7 steps. If you want to make it in a letter format, you can, but basically you need to make it in a format that you can basically think of, so that you can remember. Okay, now basically you have your statement of intent. You know what you want. There's still one more step. Okay, we gave you the 7 steps of how to make it, but now you need to order it. It's kind of like going through the menu and seeing what you want to eat in a restaurant, but if you don't order it, you'll never get it. Remember, thoughts become things. The thought has to come first, but it has to be ordered. It has to be created. So, place your order into the universe. How do you do that? Those of you that are hypnotherapists, you know a lot of ways of doing that, okay? Through hypnosis. You can create a self-hypnosis script with it. If you don't know how to do a self-hypnosis script, okay, you can download our free manual, and I'll actually put it up here on the screen in a few minutes. of how to get our free manual. It's a 446-page hypnosis manual, and in the self-hypnosis section, there are basically scripts on doing a complete self-hypnosis session, and you would just put your statement intent in the place where it says place your order here. I think it says place script here. So there's an empty spot for you to put your statement in. Read it on a tape recorder, play it back to yourself. Ta-da! You just hypnotized yourself. And it shows like 7 or 8 other ways of doing it as well. So that's one way with hypnosis. Another way of placing your statement of intent is just to sit and use your imagination. Close your eyes and imagine yourself having done or attained or whatever it is in your statement of intent. The reason this works is the subconscious mind does not understand the difference between a real or an imagined memory. They hold the same value. That's how you created everything in your life. Everything you have, everything you believe in, everything you want, you did it through your mind. Okay, thoughts become things. But you don't just think of it once. It has to be done repeatedly. Through repetition, they become habit. So if you keep on imagining yourself on this Huffy bike, day after day after day for at least a month, because it takes about minimum of 21 days to actually create things. We're not talking about law of attraction. We're talking about rerouting neural connections. Scientifically, that's what it takes, but that's the minimum. So eventually, somewhere along the line, your subconscious mind says, he's got a new bike. We better give it to him, because your belief created it. So thoughts become things. Very important. Using your imagination, using hypnosis, using meditation, using prayer, just daydreaming about it. Those of you that know Raluca, she talks about having a vision board. Having a vision board with the bike or whatever it is you want. Put it up on your vision board and where you can see it all the time. Computer screens. You can put it on your computer. I have a vision board file of things that I like, things that I want to have, things that I want to do, places I want to go on vacation. When you're not doing nothing, just stare at it. Some people have a board on the wall with big pictures. So there's so many different things you can do. All those things are creating suggestion, and that's what's attracting. Okay, now the thing is, once you have your goal, it's important to realize that once you place your goal, people say, will that happen? I'm going to teach you something about the universe. Okay, the universe can only say yes. It cannot say no. It's the same as the subconscious mind. There is no such, in the true subconscious mind, universal consciousness, there is no negative. It is only increase. It is only positive. The only thing that can say no is you. That's why people don't get things when they order them, when they place them with the law of attraction. What they're thinking is, they're thinking, I want, let's say, $100,000. I want $100,000. And when they're thinking that, they're also thinking, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it. Oh, I don't know if I deserve it. Oh, I'm unworthy. Or they have fear. Or this won't happen and that won't happen. Guess what? Every one of those negative thoughts you're having, the unworthiness, the fear, are also thoughts that are being ordered. So it's kind of like, here I am ordering my $1 million, or let's say 100,000, okay, to make it so we don't scare too many people. Ordering 100,000, we're getting closer. Oh, I have doubt. Oh, no, but I can have it. Oh, I'm unworthy. Oh, but I know I can get it. But people say I can't. And it's like, it takes forever for you to get close to it. And a lot of people will get so disgusted that they'll just say, oh, forget it. So you need to have it like a laser beam focus. Whatever it is you want, never mind what other people say. We call this elite thought. Think only what you want, not what the environment says. You can have, do, or be anything you want. But you need to believe, you need to imagine it, and you need to go towards it. Okay, it's very important to be able to do that.